Guys who did something stupid for a girl, what did you do? I knew this guy that was breezing through a 3-year electrotech college course while the rest of us struggled. I tried to talk some sense into him about this girl he was seeing. Left hand raising a finger for each con. She's addicted to crack. Her uncle is in the mob and has a questionable relationship with her. She has a kid. She's pressuring you to drop out and support her. You're throwing away your future. Right hand, bros. She's incredibly hot. He dropped out. Tim, you're an idiot. Traveled an hour and a half multiple times a week to go see her. She never did the same for me and she eventually ghosted me. It was probably one of the most pathetic and cringy times in my life, but I learned a lot from it. Best advice I have for anyone going through this is never go the extra mile for someone who doesn't or wouldn't do the same for you. It's never worth it. Enrolled in the same UNI, she stopped talking to me 2 weeks later. Grew my hair long because she asked me to. She stopped going out with me. I kept growing it, and wasn't successful with women until I got it cut. This girl I really liked ages ago didn't really know who I was. I gave her a Wii for her birthday and it was probably the creepiest thing ever to her. I thought it was a surefire way to win her heart, get married and all that Disney crap. 15-year-old me was stupid. Back in elementary school a girl asked me to be her bodyguard. I said yes and got beat up the next break by 5 boys. In high school, I saw a girl I liked walking with her friend. My genius brain decided I needed to impress her, so I decided skipping backwards and saying some quip would make me noticeable for sure. I started skipping backwards and said better get to class. I attempted to turn around while skipping and almost face planted but caught myself. I sped walked to class and never spoke to her again. I let another kid punch me in the face. It worked. Anyways, a lot of people were asking for context, so I'll give a short version. This kid was trying to impress this girl by trying to start a fight with someone. I know this girl didn't like violence, so I told him that he could punch me in the face but make it look real. The girl saw it and immediately started yelling at him, then came to see if I was okay, and I spent the rest of the day talking to her and feeling like an absolute genius. Was in a long-distance relationship with her. Flew back for Valentine's Day, turned up with flowers. To see her through the window, sitting on the lap of her ex. I told my university-aged, now boyfriend, before our first date that I thought he looked cute in his high school uniform, had been looking at old pics, so he rocked up to pick me up in his full school uniform that barely fit him anymore. In high school, this girl who I was close friends with, but also had a not-so-secret crush on, told me once how she really loved those huge 7-foot-tall teddy bears, so I told her one day I'd buy her one and she laughed, writing it off as a joke. Fast forward like 3 years later when we're going to the same local college and reconnected after slowly drifting apart after high school. She tells me one day that she's sick, so I do the only logical thing. Drive to Costco after class, drop $200 on that huge teddy bear, stuff it into the backseat of my tiny Honda Civic, drive incredibly dangerously since the bear is taking up my entire rear window, then show up at her front door. She says it feels too weird and romantic given our past, me having that not-so-secret crush back in high school and her having to tell me multiple times that we're better off as friends. So I do the whole drive back and return the bear. I met a girl and fell head over heels for her. She lived in another state, nevertheless, we started a long-distance relationship. Coincidentally, she had just lost her job, so I sent her money every week. Almost my entire check, and I drove out to see her every chance I got. That autumn I found out she had a boyfriend and was just using me to pay her rent. I was at work when I found out and just left. I had to confront her about deceiving me. I drove 3 hours to her house and by the time I got there, I knew it didn't matter. She wasn't the person I thought she was. I gave her everything I had for nothing in return. Instead of being mad or saying something that would win her back, I told her that she a horrible person for lying to me, that I hope someday someone hurts her as much as she did me. The next day I went back to my job to see if I could get my last paycheck. My boss took me into his office and laid into me about being irresponsible and failing the company. While I was sitting there, I could barely hear him as all I could think about was how stupid I was, and suddenly, I started crying. I mean torrents of tears, ugly cry. I must have bawled for a good 10 minutes. My boss stopped berating me and silently waited for me to get control of myself. Then, in a very sympathetic tone, he told me it's okay. I was in love like that once. We all do stupid things in the name of love. Try to learn from this. It may seem like the world is ending, but it's not. You'll be okay. Then he sent me back to work, stating that we never have to talk about it again. First girl I asked out, I left a chalk outline of a body on her driveway, along with a, clearly fake, police report indicating I was dying to go out with her. Yeah. I still cringe at the memory.